How's it going, everyone? Sean here from Raw Technique Studios. We'll be going over setting up your monitors. You'll notice that mine look different than they did in previous videos. They're closer together and they're actually a little bit closer this way, less on the wall. So let's just go through a checklist on what you should be trying to do to set up your monitors in the best position possible. And not all rooms are going to be perfect for how you have your studio set up, but ideally a room would be like a rectangle. You would be 38% from the back wall or from the front wall where you're looking into the computer, 38% from that wall to your listening position, and then equal on the sides of the room. But not everybody's in a perfectly rectangle room to be able to do that. So what we're going to do is go through the checklist. Whatever you could do that to get a better listening position and to make sure that you're hearing what you should be out of your monitors. All right, so let's go ahead and check off a couple of things. You'll need a tape measure to make sure everything's set up. So the first thing is that equilateral triangle. We want to make sure that the speakers are the distance apart is the same from the distance from the speaker to your ear. So you want to sit in your listening position right where you're going to be mixing, and you're going to measure from this tweeter right here to your ear. So for me, when I'm sitting in it, I'm sitting about right here, which is about 39 inches. And then you do the same from over here, 39 inches, and that's to your ear. And then you're going to measure between the speakers like this, and then that equals out to 39 inches. So to be able to get that equilateral triangle for my studio setup, I ended up doing 39 inches between the speakers and from ear to tweeter, ear to tweeter. All right, now let's look at the distance from the wall to the speaker on the side and on the back. You don't want it to be the same from the back to the side, because then you could start getting frequency buildups when things are equal like that. So if I measure out here, I get about 3 feet from the wall on the side to the speaker, to the tweeter. And then from the back, I get about 26 inches, so it's a little bit less from the back than it is from the side. So as long as they're not equal, then that's what you're shooting for. And then I've already measured the other side, and it's the same thing. Then another thing you want to do is measure from top to bottom. You don't want your tweeter to be dead center of the room from top to bottom. So you'll measure from the floor up. So I get 53 inches from the floor, and then from the ceiling down, I get about 39.5 inches from the ceiling down. So they're not equal, that's going to be fine. And also, as far as the tweeters go, when you're sitting in your listening position here, you want the tweeter to be pointing right at your ear. So you want to be able to have that right here equal with your ear right here. And then another thing is when you're sitting here, when you're looking at your monitor, your studio monitors, you want to make sure you can't see the sides of the speakers. If you can, then you need to twist it to where you only see the front of the speaker from your listening position. So when I'm sitting right here, all I see is this. I can't see the sides of my monitor. So you want to make sure it's set up like that so it's pointed directly at your ear. All right, so if you could go through, check off all those things, get your monitor set up to fit what we just went over in the video, then you'll have a pretty good setup. You'll have it to where you're hearing what the music is supposed to be instead of letting the speaker setup throw off something. If your speakers are in a corner without anything around it, then it could have bass buildup, so you're getting frequencies building on top of each other, and then just the list goes on and on of a bunch of issues. So just go ahead and try to check off those points that we went through in the video. Use your tape measure, make sure everything is set up how it should be, and then we could jump into the next part of this video, which is measuring your speakers to adjust to the room, because we're not all in professional studios or anything like that. I'm here in a home studio, and I could do everything I can to get my acoustics and my speakers set up as good as possible, but it's still not going to be perfect. On top of every set of studio monitors sound different. They have frequency differences. So the spectrum is going to be possible bass boost or highs are boosted or something like that. So what you could do to adjust all of that is get something like this, this is by Sonarworks, and it's a microphone that will capture sounds from your speakers when it's doing its test, and then it calculates everything and puts in a frequency spectrum thing, pretty much an EQ, to adjust everything to where it's a flat response. So it's going to make up for your room and your speakers to where it sounds like it should if you were in a professional studio with perfectly flat speakers. So that's the point of this software. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to jump in and use the microphone right here. This is their testing. It's kind of hard to see it, but this is the microphone they use to set up. So it'll have you move it around. It'll have you put it right on the cone. It'll have you do all kinds of things like that, just to be able to bring in all that information and get the most accurate response. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into that. I'm going to have to get rid of this microphone, so if I talk in the next portion, you're going to be hearing me through the microphone on the camera, which is lower quality, but just so you know. All right, so now we're going to start using the Sonarworks measurement microphone for recording studios and run it through its software to get everything set up. So first thing I'm going to do is take out the microphone and plug it into an XLR cable, and that's going to be plugged into my interface, and then it has a checklist on what I should be going through. So I need to go through putting on phantom power, so I'll do that. The direct monitoring from microphone to speakers, you want to make sure that's off, and if you have the Apollo, the Apollo Twin interface, you'll be using the UAD software, the console software, and in there you could just go on the track that you're using to record and just pull the fader down. So just for example, I'll open up console so you can see that. Right here on analog 1, which is where I'm recording into, it's going to be down to all the way pulled down. That way the monitors aren't letting that come through, but it's still being recorded in, or still being listened through the mic. Alright, so once you have that, then you're good. Single audio interface is used for microphone input and output to speakers. So yes, I'm using the same interface for this as well as the speakers. And then the audio interface is set to 44.1. And again, if you're in the Apollo Twin, you could go on to console, and right there at the rate on the bottom it says 44.1. Alright, so we're all set up. We can go to the next window. Select microphone calibration profile. You'll go on to the Sonarworks website, enter in the reference ID on your microphone, and it'll give you the file to download, which then you input into the software. So it's unique for each one. So whatever microphone you're using, use that ID to download the proper packet to inject into the software. Alright, so now we're going to check the signal that's coming through the selected output, which is this right here. And on the screen you can see I'm getting some mic signal there. You could play a test track so you can make sure you're hearing everything properly.
Please adjust amplifier volume. My voice should sound in normal conversation volume. Left speaker. Right speaker.
So I noticed on this part, the first time I ran the test, this was too quiet. It says at normal conversation level, but it's actually a little bit louder than that, at least from my experience. When I did it at what I thought was conversation level, it was too low and it wasn't picking it up during the test. So I had to go back and turn it back up. So I'm going to turn this up a bit. Alright, so now we're going to be setting up everything with the microphone. And the first thing I'm doing is I'm setting this up directly where my mix position would be, which is where that equilateral triangle is all pointing to, which is about right here. Alright, so I'll be setting up everything and just go through the test now. You can set up a delay right here on the corner, and this is going to make it to where you have a couple seconds to get your mic into the position. Okay, so that was the first position, and then we'll just go on and finish all the other ones. Alright, so now it's asking me to fine tune it. So it's seeing what the distance is between these two tweeters here, or the two speakers, and it's thinking that it's 2 feet and 11 inches based off what it's hearing. So this is where we could get our tape measure and double check it. So it's actually 3 feet and 2 inches. So it's a little bit shorter on here, so I'm going to go ahead and do the fine tuning. Double check it. Alright, so it's 3 feet 3 inches, that's what I'll input. Alright, so now I need to find the mix position again, the listening spot, which is about right here. Okay, so now it's doing some more distances, the dimensions. So let's see here. So from the speaker to the listening point, they're saying about a little under 2 feet. So I have to adjust this. So there's going to be two sounds that it's doing. There's this one, where it shoots it left and right, and then there's this one, where it sweeps up from a low frequency to a high. And when it's doing those, we stay in position. When it's doing the mic location signal, then that's when we know to move into the next location. So we're going to run through and do it. It's like this whole section in the listening position that's going to be going over. Alright, so just finished the test with this. This video cut out while I was doing it, but on the screen you can see all those steps out we were going through. During that last one with all the chair movements, I was just switching around like this for each spot, and each one it would measure it, and then I'd move and do it like that. So you want to try to stay even with the tweeters when you're doing that, and going around like this to be able to get the measurements in each spot. And then as you can see at the end, after doing all the measurements, it has a success, measurement complete, and then you save this into the system, and then you could use this whenever you're listening through these monitors now, and it should correct everything with the monitors and how it sounds in between and in the room and everything. It corrects it to be a more flat response, and you could hear what the music should actually sound like. So that's something that's pretty cool. So let's go ahead and just finish it, save it, and then see what it sounds like. Alright, so now that we have our saved profile, I have it opened up right here in the Sonarworks system-wide. So this is the app that has it all set up in here, which is really convenient. I have it up here on the top of my setup, and I could just go ahead and select whichever one I want. This one is the old one. So this is the new one I just ran. These are for the headphones I use. And then you can add as many as you want. So when you do open system-wide, it's right here. You could also, in the settings, you could have it, make sure your output device is your audio interface. And then we want the correct one. So this is my monitors left and right. Sample rate 44.1. And then general, notify me when any output device is changed. Just all these things, I have it checked off. I want it to launch on startup, so automatically puts my monitors in this corrected mode. All right, and then save and close. So now let's go ahead and just look at what this thing is and what it does. So up on the top of the frequency response curves, I have it set up so you could see the before and after corrections. So the blue line is the before. Let me just show you that by itself. This is what our frequency response is on the KRK 10.3s in my room. This is what it's like before. So I'm getting a big boost right here and then a big dip right here. So that could mess with my mixing. It can mess with all types of things. So to be able to fix that, after would be what the result was. So after it did its correction, this is what it ends up with, a nice flat response. It's not 100% perfect. Of course, there's a little bit here, but that's way better than what it was before, which is that. All right, so let's look at what it did to correct it. So the green line is the correction, the blue is the original. So pretty much it just does the complete opposite. When there's a boost, it does a reduction. When there's a reduction, it does a boost. And that's how it ends up with the final result of this. All right, and you could look at all these other different things as well. Just a left speaker, just a right speaker if you want. And it's just a nice visual on what it's doing or what it did. So I'll just leave the correction before and correction. Okay, so that's under calibrate. And calibration, you can have it on or off at any time. So say you want to see what your studio monitors sound like without this, just hit that, and now you're listening to your studio monitors exactly as they were before. All right, so let's keep that on for now. Right here, I have it selected in the flat mode, which is the most common, and which is what I'm going to be using all the time for. They also have a custom mode, which you could bass boost or tilt or do whatever you want with it. That's something I doubt I would ever use, but it's there if anyone ever wanted to. And then there's predefined, so you could see what it would be like through a home speakers, large speakers, small speakers, hi-fi. So you could test those out as well. So flat response is what I would be using. Simulate. This is a cool thing because it makes it to where you could test out what it would sound like through a simulation of some popular speakers or headphones. So right now it has these Japanese white cone speakers, studio monitors, and it looks like the NS10s, the classic speakers that every studio had. So that's something you could run a simulation through to see what it sounds like on those speakers. There's all kinds of different ones you could choose from. Also, popular consumer headphones. So this is based off Beats. You could see the Beats headphones right there. And because Beats headphones, they have a really big bass boost. You can see it right here. When I selected this, see the red line? This is what Beats headphones sound like. This huge bass boost. So you'll be able to hear what your mix sounds like being ran through a simulation of Beats headphones. All right, and then you could set up 2 more if you'd like. So you could simply switch through this super quick, and you could go to your original studio monitors, the fixed ones for a flat response, simulated Beats headphones, and then simulated different studio monitors as well. Then we have advanced, the filter types. You can see what the difference is right here, and I have it set on 0 latency, but you could adjust as needed. The calibration limit controls, I didn't find anything in their reference manual about this, so all I did was select normal, neutral, and neutral. I'm not 100% sure on exactly what these are, but I know they're limit controls, but like this one, if I extend it, you can see I have a little bit more of a bass section here, but it is a limit, so I'm not sure what exactly it's doing. So I just leaving them on neutral. And then you could avoid clipping. I don't ever put this on. I just have it off because I want my level full blast. I could deal with clipping inside of my DAW. The dry wet signal, always 100% wet on here to get the full flat response, but you can adjust it like that if you want. See, that's no correction, a little bit of correction, all the way up to 100% correction. So you can see the green line moving for that. Another thing I do like about this is the mono monitoring, which is really cool because you can listen to your stuff in mono just with the click of a button in this app. It's a nice way to do it compared to in like Pro Tools. I would usually use a plugin that has a mono feature and click on that to listen, but this makes it really easy to just click on it right here. So you could check your mix in so many different ways that this software is great just for that, but also the correction and having a nice flat response makes it even better. So that covers just about everything for the Sonarworks system-wide app. There's also like a plugin version and all that, but let's look at their website here, and they have a free 21-day trial, so that's something to try out. And then they talk about everything here. Here's the pricing for them. Headphone edition, $99. Studio edition, this is what I'm using because I had the microphone for my speakers. That's $249. And then there's a premium bundle where you would get pre-calibrated headphones, the Sennheiser HD 650s for $699. So up to you. I was using the $249 thing here, but download a free trial, test it out, see how you guys like it. Just want to say thank you guys for watching this video, and also thank you to Sonarworks for having this sent over so I could do this review and test it out. Alright, so I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.